confirmed dead, while others, cause of others have been seriously injured after a lorry that was transporting maize lost control and rammed into two other vehicles at Kipirigwi town along the Karatina-Sagwa Nairobi highway. According to the police, the lorry rammed into the two vehicles, resulting in the fatalities.
Na asubuhi ya leo tumeweza kupatwa na janga ambayo kuna ajali imefanyika hapa katika barabara ya kutoka Karatina kwenda Nairobi, mahali ambapo lori moja ambayo ilikuwa imebeba mahindi imeweza kupoteza mwelekeo na ikaweza kugonga gari zingine mbili ambazo ni za gari ndogo, na watu watano wakaweza kupoteza uhai wao, mmoja akiwa ni mwanamke na wengine wanne wakiwa ni wanaume.
Hiyo lori imegonga gari mbili na watu watano wakaaga hapo hapo, na watatu already wamepelekwa hospitali. Ile hatujui kama Mungu ndiye atasaidia wapone. Tunawaombea wapone, warudi hai.
Tungeomba serikali hii barabara tuangaliwe. Hii barabara imekuwa mbaya na imekuwa inamaliza watu wengi, na tungeomba serikali iangalie, na hii barabara kama inapomalizwa tuangaliwe ni vipi inaweza fanyika ndio magari yaache kuwa na mwendo wa kasi sana. Hiyo lori ilikuwa imebeba mahindi, mzigo wa mahindi, na mahindi ukiangalia hapa mahali tuko imetapakaa zaidi vibaya sana, na tuna huzuni tele kwa sababu hata ile njaa iliko na mahindi inafanya imetapakaa hivi. So serikali tuangalie haya maneno ya hii barabara.
All right, that particular accident that occurred along the Karatina-Sagana highway, 5 confirmed dead, others scored also injured. We continue to follow up on that accident, quite fatal as far as that is concerned. But let's move on. The war against trade in small and light weapons in the Eastern and Central Africa region has received a boost as Nairobi hosted a 3-day forum to review the strides made. Speaking at the forum on Friday in Nairobi, Interior Principal Secretary Raymond Omolo said they have been able to validate the regional action plan on weapons and ammunition management, which aims to integrate disarmament, demobilization, and reintegration efforts. The forum also has established a regional harmonized reporting tool that transitions from manual to electronic record keeping in the management of weapons to enhance transparency, standardization, and accountability in sole control. Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi echoed the sentiments, calling on all the regional centers on small arms member states to redouble their efforts and support toward the effective implementation of the Nairobi Protocol. The meeting brought together 15 countries.
15 member states.
After Djibouti, we have DRC.
Our world is changing rapidly, and the nature of arms control is evolving with it by incorporating measures for adaptability, accountability, and the technological advancement in the revised agreement. We position REXA as a leader in addressing both current and the emerging challenges in arms control.
REXA enhances regional peace and security by facilitating coordination and implementation of measures to combat the spread of small arms through a number of interventions. One, of course, is the implementation of the Nairobi Protocol, which assists member states to adhere with the obligations within that protocol.
I am mindful of the critical work that lies ahead of us in addressing the persistent challenge of small arms and light weapons proliferation in the Great Lakes region and Horn of Africa. Looking at the agenda before us, we can see the gravity of the security situation in our region. The overview of the security status highlights the devastating impact that unregulated flow of illicit small arms continues to have, fueling armed conflicts, illegal exploitation of natural resources, terrorism, cattle rustling, and other serious crimes.
Now we shift focus to matters security. Unity in diversity took center stage at the Dawoodi Bora community, and the Kenya Police Service convened together to champion peace and security. Speaking at the event here in Nairobi, Inspector General of Police Douglas Kanja highlighted the crucial role of collaboration between law enforcement and community forums in safeguarding the nation. Kanja stressed the importance of discipline within the police service as a cornerstone for Kenya's progress and urged continued dialogue with different communities in Kenya to foster meaningful engagement for a stable and secure future.
It's very, very important. And that is the reason why we are here this evening with my colleagues, because we want to work together. We want to engage with the Bora community. We want to work with you through community policing forums so that we can be able to engage and ensure that all of us live in peace and harmony. So discipline is what makes the service stay together and enables the service to carry out its duty to see to it that there is peace and security.
This is just a small gesture from the community, from the Dawoodi Bora community, basically appreciating the services and the monumental efforts of the men in blue, just to let the Kenya Police Service know, all the police, wale wanatulinda, everybody, that your efforts don't go unnoticed. This was just a small get-together to see how we can foster those efforts in promoting peace and prosperity for the country of Kenya.
Now, the 41st Institute of Certified Public Accountants CPA Annual Seminar is currently underway in Mombasa. The conference is themed Sustainability and the Future, positioning professionals as change ambassadors. The Accountants Conference has attracted over 3,000 accountants and professionals.
Cabinet Secretary, the National Treasury and Economic Planning. Let's just...
Treasury CPA that is Uganda, Bigimana.
The environment that we are all discussing in the COD.
The accountancy profession plays very many roles as leaders, as professional in various industries. But for the country, specifically in developing countries such as Kenya, the Institute has gained increasing significance as an enabler of the Kenya's National Development Agenda, currently being championed as bottom-up economic transformation agenda, the better agenda.
I have watched roads being profiled in Nairobi County, how dilapidated our roads are. I move around the country, I find stall projects where public resources have been invested, but contractors are not there on the ground because we lack the resources to move these projects forward. We are here as professionals. We are here as accountants who ought to know better, and we know better. CPA John Buddy will tell you he cannot and he will never raise adequate revenues to cater for all our needs. And therefore, a pursuit to move towards public-private partnerships for this country, and indeed the world over. That is where the world is moving. Increasingly, economies around the world are moving away from raising revenue to finance their long-term development objectives to public-private.
All right, now we have an interesting story today. Villagers in Kapsinendet village, Molo, rolled out the red carpet for 61-year-old Mzee Joseph Mutai, who had been serving a 15-year prison sentence for an alleged rape incident that never happened. Mutai was released today after a successful appeal revealed that there was insufficient evidence to support the charges, and it was determined that he had been wrongfully convicted. At his home, Mutai was accorded a warm welcome from his family and neighbors, including his youngest daughter, who was just a few months old at the time of his arrest. Ken Gashuhi captured the joyous moments.
On Wednesday morning, doors of Nakuru GK prison opened, setting free 61-year-old Mzee Joseph Mutai, who had been serving a 15-year sentence for an alleged rape that occurred in January 2021.
Nilikuja sasa hapa 2021 January 29 kwa makosa yenye ilikuwa natokea 25 saa moja hivi, ilikuwa saa moja na nusu.
He had been sentenced in November 2021. His conviction stemmed from personal differences with a neighbor who falsely accused him of the crime. Mutai appealed the case, and the Court of Appeal ruled that there was no sufficient evidence to support the conviction, affirming that he had been framed. Only the alleged victim and the investigating officer had testified.
Kuleta mimi mpaka hapa alirebiwa na ilikuwa na kwa nyumba yangu, ilikuwa napiga nduru. Hata mimi sikuwa hapo, ilikuwa mimi nafanya kazi mahali, ilikuwa mimi nafanyanga. Wakati yeye alifunga sisi, alijaribu tena kuja ku-withdraw hii kesi. Koti akakataa.
4 years later, Mutai, who had no formal education, has been released from prison, and he now takes pride in having learned Swahili during his time behind bars.
Sikujua hata Swahili hata moja. Hata sasa nimejaribu hata nimepata hata jasho kwa hii ndio inaongea tu kidogo.
Mutai, a father of 16, was warmly received by his wife, children and neighbors, many of whom were emotional, knowing the heavy price he had paid for a crime he did not commit.
Tulihusinishwa sana na hii maneno. Haikufanyika vile. Waambia wale walipanga wasomeana nao ili maneno tuendelee mbele.
Kuishi bila baba ya watoto ni mbaya sana. Na mng'ang'ana sana kabisa na maisha. Watoto wako hapa, kazi yote hata siamba hata nini.
Ni jana tulipigiwa simu lakini hatukupata. Lakini Mungu ametutendea. Ninaambia shemeji karibu.
He says he has forgiven those who framed him. His greatest joy today is reuniting with his family, especially his 4-year-old daughter, who was only a few months old when he was arrested.
Ana baba mzee ni mmekuwa. Amenona kabisa sura yake iko mzuri.
Ken Gashuhi, KTN News.
Indeed, many thanks, Ken Gashuhi, for bringing us that particular story with very, very many joyous moments. And of course, it reminds me the words of Abraham Lincoln: truth is generally the best vindication against slander. Let's take a short breather. We'll be right back with more news after this break.
Tamu tena fruity. Ayubo kuna vitu zinakuudhi, usijali my bro, hebu kama taka juicy juni.
Welcome back. You are still watching KTN, and this is the news desk. Let's look at matters education. Teachers have been urged to take advantage of the long holidays and do retooling programs at the Gravity CBC Center to improve their skills towards implementation of the CBC. Speaking during the launch of competency-based education model at Gravity CBC Center, various stakeholders, including officials from the Ministry of Education who were taken through the career pathways model, have urged the government to open research centers countrywide to make the CBC a reality.
We came here as directors to come and expose ourselves to what it is like come next year when it comes to the path that CBC is going to take. We are getting into grade 9, so it is important for all of us to carry together as one unity.
Mambo ya CBC hayana umugumu au ugumu kama vile watu wamekuwa wakinena, na tukaonyeshwa tunaweza tekeleza mtaala wa CBC tukitumia vifaa vinavyopatikana katika eneo ambazo shule zetu ziko.
Today we were privileged to have two team of teachers. Once we had Embakasi cluster group of school directors who were in our center for benchmarking and CBC orientation program.
Going forward, I can advise other schools and other teachers or even parents to come here and bring their children to just look at the equipment, to let the children interact with the items that are here.
All right, that aside, they say food is good for the stomach and your greatest wealth is your health. In that regard, KIPRA's Acting Executive Director, Dr. Elda Onsomu, has called for urgent attention to the implementation of nutrition recommendations aimed at improving school meal programs across the country. During the launch of the findings from recent research, Dr. Onsomu emphasized the importance of prioritizing nutrition in schools, particularly for vulnerable groups, including young children and adolescent girls. Dr. Onsomu noted that one of the key findings presented was the reduction in the number of the undernourished children.
Social protection, water, and education. These sectors are pivotal in understanding Kenya's nutrition landscape. By integrating diverse data sources, this paper offers policies a comprehensive, reliable framework for designing targeted and effective intervention tailored to Kenya needs.
One of the areas that we analyzed is the estimation of cost of a school meal, which we have established to range between Kenya shillings 10 shillings to 51 Kenya shillings, with an average of 23 Kenya shillings. This is key to us, and the findings indicate that as we provide school meals, we need to take into account nutrition by providing foods like fruits, iron-rich foods like green leafy vegetables. We need to provide foods that support all the micronutrients, particularly for the young children and also the youth who require them most.
Meanwhile, for the first time in 12 years, Kenya is set to hold the National Youth Council NYS Elections, a move that promises to revolutionize the youth engagement in the country. This historic event, scheduled for February 7th to 21st, 2025, comes as part of President William Ruto's commitment to empowering the youth and giving them a stronger voice in national decision-making. In a groundbreaking event or development, the Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Kipchumba Murkomen, unveiled the NYS National Election Steering Committee, the National Youth Advisory Board, and launched the election roadmap. These key bodies are tasked with ensuring the elections are transparent, inclusive, and impactful while guiding youth-related policies in Kenya.
Election scheduled on 7th to 21st of February 2025 is a critical opportunity for our youth to directly shape the policies and leadership that will govern them. Through these elections, young Kenyans will elect their leaders, giving them a platform to determine the direction of youth programs and initiatives across the country. The roadmap includes detailed timelines and procedures which will be made available to ensure that all eligible young people and youth are fully informed and prepared for the elections. We are not launching this steering committee to preside over sham youth elections. We are also not launching this steering committee to elect sycophants to office. We want to elect legitimately strong voice of young people who will come and take us to task and put us to task to make sure that we are doing everything required by law and based on our promises to deliver the promises of the people of Kenya and especially the young people of Kenya.
Well, that is the NYC. It's easier to pretty much confuse the NYS, but the NYC, that is the National Youth Council's elections coming up for February. The Kenya Utalii College has been commended for quality skills in the hospitality industry that are opening employment opportunities to our Kenyan youth within the country and abroad. These were words of speakers during the graduation of students in Italian cuisine meant to join the hospitality industry. PS Tourism, John Ololtuwa, has encouraged more Kenyans to join the industry that is now very marketable.
The tourism sector plays a critical role in the creation of employment to our young people through our hotels, through our national parks, our game reserves, our tour operators, our tour guides, the air sector. Last week we just received the inaugural flight from Malaysia. We call it Air Asia, which will go a long way in enabling people to travel from there.
There is a group of around 30 students who have learned how to master the Italian cuisine, and thanks to the chef Luca Mastromattei, Italian ambassador of Italian taste in the world, and Michelin guide chef, they have learned the secret of the Italian cuisine.
I've learned many things in this course. It's like an Italian cuisine. It's like a stepping bridge that can help me work in any industry, and I'm glad to be in this school.
Now we are going to be looking at what is currently happening. The Evangelical Alliance of Kenya is addressing the media on the state of the nation. Remember, following closely the voice of the religious leaders in as far as the state of governance is concerned. We had quite a number of reactions on the same, but currently we want to hear and crossover live and follow what the Evangelical Alliance of Kenya is also saying in as far as the state of the nation is concerned.
Came together in unity to deliberate on current and important issues facing our country. This reflects our deep commitment to the spiritual, social, and economical well-being of all Kenyans and our shared hope for a prosperous nation. Our mandate as leaders. It is the sacred duty of religious leaders to be the voice of the people, bridging their concerns and aspiration with those in the authority. While we remain steadfast in avoiding activism or partisanship, we embrace our role as peacemakers and advocates for constructive solutions. We call on the church leaders to join hands in fostering national stability and reconciliation in line with Article 159(2)(c) of our Constitution and the teachings of Matthew 5:9. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Progress and continued action. We acknowledge the significant strides made by the government in addressing national challenges, initiatives in employment creation, health reforms, and efforts to stabilize the cost of living are commendable and provide a foundation for further progress.
At the same time, we remain mindful of the difficulties Kenyans are experiencing, particularly the rising cost of living and employment. We urge the government to redouble its effort to ensure that these challenges are tackled comprehensively and the relief reaches every household. As religious leaders, we stand ready to offer our partnership and support to help foster hope, resilience, constructive dialogue as the government works to deliver a long-term solution. Kenyans are a peace-loving people with an enduring spirit of resilience. As leaders of umbrella religious organizations, we commit to using our grassroots network to spread messages of peace, unity, and hope. We encourage the government to give priority to inclusive policies that bridge regional and economic divides. A cohesive nation is built on fairness and equity. Ensuring that all Kenyans, regardless of their background, feel the benefit of development. We commend His Excellency the President for addressing critical issues during the State of the Nation address, including job creation, health reform, affordable housing, human rights, food production. These actions demonstrate a commitment to improve the lives of Kenyans.
All right, the words of the Evangelical church leaders, that is, of course, their take on the state of the nation, talking about reconciling law and scripture. They are invoking the Article 159(2)(c) of the Constitution, saying it aligns well with the scripture, Matthew chapter 5, verse 9. More of that coming later on in our subsequent bulletins at 4 p.m., 7 and 9 p.m. respectively. But the words of Mary saying, virtue flies from a house divided against itself, and a whole legion of devils takes up their residence there. Thank you for watching News Desk. Inside Sports coming up after this. Enjoy the rest of your viewing. My name is Anki Doris Ombat.